Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to season 2 of Conversations in Pop Culture. And before I introduce my guest, and it's going to be an exciting one, I do want to remind everybody that links are up above. His link to his Facebook page is up there, so I want everybody to go check that out, as well as there are 2 links for me up there as well, my Cash App link and Buy Me a Coffee. So if you would like to support this podcast, obviously go like Michael's Facebook page and everything that Michael does, as well as if you feel so generous, feel free to buy me a coffee. And even going beyond all that, please share, like, and subscribe, like the page, and all that fun stuff with this interview. So without further ado, my guest today is Michael DiPascale, who has worked for Zenescope, Boom Studios, Coffin Comics, and on Uber, which I absolutely love Uber. So to name a few, so welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, now I'm very excited because you've done so many covers and so many different companies you work for, but I am curious how you got into comics and in particular doing covers because you almost do exclusive cover work.
Yeah, well, I originally started out wanting to do covers for like fantasy novels and things. I had no intention of doing comics whatsoever. And my wife got me actually a Wacom tablet that had a Corel Painter add-on, and so I started doing the digital painting because I was a big fan of Justin Sweet at the time and a lot of the book covers that he was doing, and just regular fantasy type things on DeviantArt and stuff. I got approached a comic cover for a guy that was doing an independent book, and I did like a pinup for him. And then that's how I got involved doing the Blood Rain things, all the blood. So
Yeah.
I never really intended to do comics. It just kind of worked out.
So let's talk about Blood Rain because I love Blood Rain, and what I know of Blood Rain and what I've read of it, obviously there's a bunch of different parts, and you've done all these exclusive covers, and this is just one of them to throw out there. And the covers that you did for the most part with Blood Rain are, and this might also be Blood Rain up there as well,
Yep.
and I think this one's also Blood Rain, and so obviously
That was my cover right there.
And so obviously Blood Rain and the work you did is extremely exclusive. I think it's like 200 copies were printed or 250 copies. And so what was that like doing it? Because Blood Rain is a little bit offbeat, but it also hits that fantasy vibe, and the entire story is obviously, sort of vampire-esque and very violent in many ways. And it's a very sort of off the beat indie type book.
Video game. It was a video game. So and at the time, the games were gory. It was vampires. It was Nazis. She was eating people, and it wasn't at the time. It wasn't so much about the content. It was that I was paid to do something that I loved. So that was what was really important. But the cover itself. Once I realized and investigated what it was, and the guy that was publishing for the video game, on what it was, this is a kick ass. I really like this, and she had a good look. She had a good design. Everybody did. So fun to do. If they ever made the game again, or they ever decided to do the comic, I told the guy that I'll do it again. I'll be right back there. Digital Webbing put it out through Majesco. Majesco was the manufacturer of the video, and so all the covers that I did and everything that was in the book had to be approved through Majesco because it was a licensed property.
And to even go further into this, because obviously it is a video game, it has a big history, it has a built-in fan base, but also when you were doing this was sort of when exclusive and limited print runs and small print runs were getting, being first tested out and really put out there in the collector's market in a lot of ways. And it does change the work in many ways when there's a 250 copies of a book. It makes it more rare, it makes it more desirable. And so
when you're brand, we went.
You're back.
Okay. When these are your first covers, though, and you don't really understand that. I had no concept of a limited run or a small run or the value of what it was going to mean. The whole first couple of years I did those Blood Rain covers. I was oblivious to any of the collector stuff. Totally oblivious. It was strange for me when I first comic show, and I was on the other side of the table, and people wanted me to sign these covers, and then they wanted to ditch it with me. My mind, I didn't know what the hell was going on. It was crazy.
Yeah, I could imagine that it must have been super weird for you, because it's just like you just don't understand it. And then obviously, even going further into this, obviously talking about Farscape, obviously you did those covers too, and that was also a licensed product in many ways.
Yeah.
It has a big history. And so you've done, I think, either 5 or 6 covers from Farscape. And so obviously there are the 2 that were 500, copies. And so how'd you get into Farscape in the first place? Because I think a lot of people know that, and it's got a long history. So let's just talk about that first.
The guy that the covers for digital webbing for Blood Rain is actually the letterer and designer for Boom Studios. So after I cut my teeth on some rain covers, he introduced me to Mark Waid, and a Zombie Tales cover for Mark Waid. He was one of the early editors for Ross Ritchie at the time, and then from there asked me if I wanted to do a Farscape cover, and I was already fans of the show. I was a huge my wife watched it all the time. We loved it, and I was so excited to do Farscape covers. I couldn't wait to do them. So, and I just kind of followed it, fell into it, and then I did the regular Farscape, and then I did the spin-off, which was Dargo's. So each one has 4 to 5 covers.
And then, because I know one of the covers you did is this one, and it's limited to 500 copies. And obviously,
I didn't know that.
Changes the meaning of the cover in a lot of ways. And I just love this cover in so many ways for that as well.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite, the covers, Joe. So yeah, I didn't know that it was 500. You know, they had made a limited black and white version of issue 1 of Dargo's Lament, but I didn't know at the time that it was like a limited thing. I think I still have a few of them too. So.
And then obviously I do want to show a bunch of other Farscape stuff that you've done. Obviously you did this one, and I'm showing it a little bit. This is the other 500 limited, and this one's cool because it's just like, in between in that negative space, and we sort of get the people somewhat a little bit cut off and what's going on with them. And so we get that cover, and then obviously we get stuff like this, which is the Argo, Lamont, I think it's called. And so we get that cover, obviously this cover, and this cover as well. And so obviously, and the reason how we know it's you is because obviously you sign your work in a very cool way.
I had to change that. I used to, if you look at the earlier Blood Rain covers, I signed my initials. My initials for my name are M.A.D. So I originally signed everything in the box. And I wasn't allowed to sign my name like that because it confused people, because Joe Madura was the only one that could sign his name as Mad, and so they made me name my name to my signature to just MD. I was like, you got to be kidding me! What, I can't use my own damn name? And I guess I didn't carry enough weight as Joe Madura does, so I lost that one. So now it's just MD, and it has been like that for like 10 years. So,
and I love the fact that you sign that way, because it's kind of like Ebass signed a certain way, my Chrome signed a certain way, Campbell's signature is a certain way, and there's a few others. Niai's signature is a certain way, and I think it's very important for artists to have a signature that is very distinguishable and actually means something and actually is on the art. And because when I look at a piece, I know what your piece is. I'm almost immediately based on that signature, and I expect it to be in a cover. When it's not there, I'm like, did you really do this cover? This is my question.
People know the MD more than they actually know my name. I mean, I have an odd name, but more people recognize the MD and go, "Oh, that's you." It's like, yeah. I get it. But I think the one that was for me was when Greg Horn changed his signature. He used to have the very almost feminine Greg Horn that was just across the bottom of everything, and then he changed it to like a G, a scribbly G through it, and it was really strange. But
Yeah, and then obviously even going outside of Farscape, and where I think you start to get a lot of attention was with Crossed, and Crossed is a sick comic, and there's so much of Crossed. So how'd you get involved in Crossed? Because that's how I sort of know you a little bit more. Obviously, I know you from Zenescope exclusively, even more than Crossed, but you have been involved in Crossed for almost 10 years at this point, doing all those covers, and they're wild. And just to prove the point of how wild Crossed is, this is a cover from Crossed that you did.
I haven't seen that one in a while. Yeah. Well, Crossed is printed by Avatar Press, and they are the kings of gore porn. So you're gonna I ended up getting an email from William Christensen, who was the owner and editor in chief. I believe he saw work at the Motor Comic-Con convention, and reached out an email and asked me if I wanted to sign a contract with them, and so I worked for them for about 6 years, and I think my first covers for Avatar Press were the Anna Mercury covers. That was a book that was written by Warren Ellis. I did 3 of the Anna Mercury covers, and then they moved me over to Crossed. This was written Garth Ennis. And then Jason Burrows did the interior art, and they didn't really give background on it. They basically said that people had like a on their face, and they just have no inhibitions or whatever. They just do crazy shit. And so I just went with that. And then the more cover I did, the more I saw, the more reference I got, the more back. And so everything became a little more involved, and being the cover heavy company that Avatar was, but no shortage of covers for issues. One issue, 4, 5, 6 different covers, along with a naughty one, a not naughty one, a gory one, a wraparound. So yeah, that's for quite a while.
And it's even talk about this because Crossed has a big history. There's Crossed 100+1. And what you did for that is you did a bunch of homage covers that paid a lot of respect. And obviously, I love comics. I go old school, I go new school, and I go back all the way. So how did that idea even come about? Because you did 12 of them, and I'm going to show some.
That was all Williams' idea. Well, they found out that I could things in different styles, because I could do my style, and then I could do like an Art Nouveau style. They asked me if I could do an Art Nouveau style for some of their War Goddess comics, and then I did the Art Nouveau, and then all of a sudden, he was a big fan of Patrick Nagel, and he asked me covers in that style. And then once he found out that I could vary my style, then he came to me and asked me about doing a series of the homage covers. So, and the old school ones, right?
Yeah, these.
Yeah, those were all. What he did was he chose the covers. He would say the original cover, and say, give it the crossed, make it crossed. And then what I needed to do was draw the thing. These are all famous covers. They're either firsts or because he was a real old school cover guy himself, collector. So he knew what he had wanted. And then it was how do you make them more cross without ruining the original concept or the art. So I learned a lot because I learned ink like all the artists how they inked, and I used to sit there some nights just pulling my hair out. Good God. Where's the paintbrush at? It would just line after line after line after line. But I learned how to create contours and things just in their style and stuff.
And one of the things that I love about this is that as I stated, love old school comics. I think it's very cool when you're paying respect to old school comics and what's going on with that. And then at the very same time, you're introducing a bunch of people who might not know any of these comics. And
I never saw those.
And so I love the fact that it's nice to always bring old school stuff into a whole new fan base.
Look at those covers again. I didn't sign any of them. If you look in the bottom left, after, and it has the original artist's name. I did 12 of those covers, and I didn't sign not one of them because I did not feel like they were my work. I didn't put my name on it. Their name. I didn't sign that one.
And so
no one noticed that.
Oh, I noticed it. But I love it, and I think it's so cool that a company would allow you to do that. And then they've also allowed you to do a bunch of other stuff as well, where they allowed you to do fantasy, like femme fatale fantasy covers, and also that sort of morphed into Art Deco covers with crossed. And I'm going to drop some of that in here and show this off. And if I'm going to do it somewhat out of order, but I love this style as well. And obviously the signature's there.
That's the Patrick Nagall style from Playboy 80s.
And so I love that. So what was that like getting to do this? Because now you've gone and done the old school stuff. You've done, a regular cover for crossed, which is rare. That's probably the most rare thing I've ever done.
These were really fun. They were because I was a fan of Patrick Nagall. I loved his work growing up as a kid because he was so simple and so clean, and he had specifics on how he did hair, how he ends, and so it was to do it, and then because I would think of a color scheme that I wanted, and then basically it's a model pose, and then I would draw it all style, and then after I painted it. I always felt bad then having to throw a bucket of blood over him. So,
and then obviously just to show even some more of this, I think this is out there as well, sort of similar style, very cool. I love the Art Deco-ness of it, and I think it's just nice to have this style in there. And then also this one too is out there, and I just love the bear on it.
Yeah, that was. For the bad, there were 6 of those. That arc of bands had I think it had cavemen being crossed because they'd make anybody crossed. And so I did 6 of them. It did one that looked like pebbles from the stones.
And then also this is another one that's more of that like femme fatale, bloodied up. Style. And obviously this is like what, people go sociopathic when they're become infected by cross. And so I love this cover because it's just like screams what crossed is in so many ways.
Well, yeah, he asked me, could you do a milkmaid? I'm like, sure, easy.
And so, I mean, I know I sort of asked this already, but what is this like that a company gave you for almost 10 years, pretty much any style you can do? And obviously, doing the homage stuff and going old school, new school, gore fest.
It's what kept me there. It's there. With Cross though, I did do interiors. I did interiors a few times, but it was mainly covers because I did Rover Red Charlie with Garth Ennis. I did all the interior art for, and then Wick Line. I did a short story with him, and then I did some of their. I think it's the God is Dead and Dark Gods, some interior art, but like 90 Burke I did was all covers. So.
And so to even talk about that, because a cover can make or break a series. And I'm a variant collector. I love collecting variants. I love collecting art. There are certain people that art just pops off, that I need to have their book regardless of what their book is or even what's inside the book. I'm also a collector in many ways, where I will not read the book, but I'll just look at the art because I can't draw. And so what is that like for you? Because your covers definitely, help to sell the book. And if people say, hey, look, I'm looking not for cover A, but for cover C or cover D. And what makes a good cover? Because it does help sell the book in a lot of ways.
Yeah. It's an honor when someone looks for your cover. Especially with a lot of it's usually your interior artist gets the A cover, sometimes the B, and then you get into the different variants, the different editors get as hey let's do this, let's do that, can you do that, and then you get farther down, farther away. They always print more of these, so sometimes you feel shorted. Maybe you're not good enough to support the book. But I find out that people are searching because for like Zenescope, the C covers. I haven't done anything other than just the C covers. And people go, they usually are the only ones that I buy, and it's always an honor to know that the fans that actively search out your work, not just oh yeah, that's nice, and they just buy it. They're like, no, I must have this one. I dig that. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, let's jump into Zenescope, because I'm a Zenescope guy. Ralph Tedesco has been on this show. Garvey's been on this show. Senko Inaki's been on my other show. And pretty much so many people from Zenescope have been on. And I love Zenescope. And obviously you have a book that just came out with a cover C. It's Hercules versus the Scorpion Queen or King. And I know that just sort of cover C right there. But you've been working for Zenescope for a while. And obviously there's a lot of cool stuff, and I'm just going to start showing this stuff because I like football and football's fun. And so I think that's you, right?
Not at all.
And so
that's not mine.
Maybe that's not you. Actually, no. That's my other guess. My bad. Sunju did the covers on that one. Because he's coming out on Thursday. So clearly I'm off base here. So obviously I'm going to show this is you.
That's me.
Let's start with the military, because I like the military, and I know that you did this, and I'm clearly off base a little bit, all things considering. So obviously you've done this, and this is just one of the ones I love. I love the fact that it's 2019 Armed Forces Edition, and this is just an awesome cover. It's so stark, and I know that people love these types of covers. I bought the entire set when it dropped in 2019. And so what was this like? Because I know this wasn't your first Zenescope book, but I know it's one of the ones that you worked on, and it's one of my favorites.
Well, Zenescope covers are the only covers that I don't paint. I own for Zenescope, for all my other covers, everything that you've shown, I paint, I draw, and I whole thing. Done in Corel Painter. Zenescope only has me do and Sanju colors all. Now, this one was kind of funny because I was a Marine, and Zenescope had no idea that I was in the Marine Corps. And so when they were doling out the assignments on who was doing what service, they just by chance were like, I'm doing this one. And I was like, oh, absolutely. I will do that for sure. Not a problem. So I was happy, more than happy to do the Marine Corps one.
And obviously, given that you're a Marine, thank you for your service. What was that like? Because these books, if they're not done the right way, can come off offensive. Obviously, Zenescope does good girl art, and it is important when you're doing a book, whether it's Memorial Day. What?
Sanju colored the pants wrong. He when they him the reference for the color scheme, he didn't the pants instead of being the light Marine Corps blue, he got the same color as the coat, as the box, as the dark blue. And he showed me online. He messaged me, and he said, here's the cover. And I was like, oh no, you got to change those pants. That's wrong. And he says, this is what they gave me. I says, they gave you has to be this color. And so I ended up forwarding him actually the reference for dress blues for the Marine Corps. And he fixed it. We were over whether or not it was going to make it to print because it was right at the end of the line. And he contacted someone and he changed color. And so because the pants would have been wrong, people would have been pissed.
Yeah, you know what is? People would have been very upset. Obviously, I used to work for a veterans group, and I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have been happy about it either. And a lot of people would have been upset. And you know, it's a sensitive topic in a lot of ways.
You gotta get it right.
And not unlike this one, in which this is not a sensitive topic, but this is just a fun cover. Because I like swimsuits, and obviously this is, I think, a cover D. I don't think this is a cover C. I think this is a cover D. I think it's your only cover D that you've done. I could be wrong, but I think it's your only cover D.
It might be. I know the refreshing thing about Zenescope is they were the first company that told me to draw the boobs small. I was like, will do. Thank you. So everywhere has been bigger. They got to be bigger. Bigger boobs. They got to be bigger. But Zenescope, it was refreshing. Come across a company that were like, yeah, that's too big. You got it, please. So keep that in mind when I draw.
So what is that like? Because that must be a very weird thing. Because Zenescope is good girl art. You know, they have a guy named Ebass. Yes, it sounds like something, and it's Eric Basaluda, but he signs Ebass, and well, go ass. So it's this idea that they're telling you to draw her boobies smaller. Like that's such a weird thing for me, and I love Zenescope. Don't get me wrong. Like, and I love their good girl art, but like, how do you even like respond to that?
It was refreshing. It was totally refreshing because you know on at Avatar and everything, you know, bigger, make them make them more natural. They got to be, and it was tiring a while, you know, and then I had drawn for Coffin Comics with Lady Death again, and that was still, you know, bigger. They got to be bigger. And the company that's like, you know, draw some normal boobs. It's like, yes, finally, I get, you know, just not cheesecake, but it is cheesecake, but in a less buoyant way.
And then we might as well drop this cover because obviously, you know, this is still cheesecake. I love this cover. Obviously, Neverland is always fun.
Sanju colored that when I saw it, I was impressed. So impressed when he colored that cover.
This cover has layers into it, is a really good way to put it, because I feel like this is not necessarily I'm going to describe this wrong, but I feel like she is more in the front, and then there are layers into the jungle that she's coming out of. And it's very cool, and the colors make it pop. And I'm sure me and Sandra are going to have a conversation about that on Thursday. And so obviously, what is that like, though? Because you laid down the groundwork, and then he sort of painted it, and it's a team effort in a lot of ways to make this thing work.
I've had Sanju and a Headwind color my stuff up. And Sedwin, I mean, Sanju usually covers about 99% of what I do there. And so he colored, I would paint it. So we're on board there. And I know a lot of times when I'm drawing, I put in fine little reference lines for that I know when I'm gonna take it out. The first couple of covers that he colored of mine, he lined those lines in, and so I messaged him. I'm like, just take those lines out, because we talk about stuff. He's got a couple that are coming out right now that are. They're ridiculous. They're so good, and I'm glad he painted. But this is the one he got rid of the lines, and he Shadowin. I had in the rough that where her face is in the shadow because the alligator head is covering her face on. And I thought I might have overdone it with the bushes in the back. I wasn't sure if it was too much, but he nailed it all. That's one of my favorite covers by him coloring.
And what the kicker for me is that this is just like a cover C, it's a cover D, or it's a cover B, and this is just the regular cover, which is ludicrous to me because, and this is the thing that shocks me still with Zenescope, and I've been a Zenescope fan for like 8 years now, is that they have a top tier exclusive $20, $25, sometimes $30 cover, and then they have really, I feel, the same effort in a $6 cover or a $4 cover. And it's ludicrous because this, to me, can go up to bat with their like convention exclusives. And I just think it's awesome, the art that they present and put out there, because this is something that's just like, boom, and it's there, and it's up there, and it's a phenomenal. And all your covers are. I'm going to show another one that I think honestly could kick a lot of convention exclusives that are out there, and it's this one right here, and this is just slamming. And so this is just Van Helsing, and this is almost so real. It doesn't look like a comic cover. It looks almost statue-like.
Well, that's another one that's Sanju. So he just has a style that I know. Even the last time I talked to Dave, one of him briefly at the city confusion show, and he was like, happy that he pinned Sanju together. He was pleased with that we were doing together. So
and this
I love it.
I love this cover also, where this cover and just that background is just so fitting, and the way she's posed, it just works so well in so many ways.
There was originally like smoke, like that New York foggy smoke that you always see in the alleys and stuff that's coming up around. Actually had us take that out and then go with some more buildings in the bottom. So
and I just love it, and this just says Van Helsing, and Van Helsing is just amazing. And Van Helsing, I think, is Zenescope, one of their most popular characters, even beyond Robin Hood. And obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on, and Van Helsing is on fire right now with everything that's going on.
We just did another one, the swimsuit one, just came out for Van Helsing. It's Sanju posted it on Facebook, and free colored it. It's out there. They actually made it into a frisbee. You can buy a frisbee for like $25.
Oh, I have that frisbee. There you
it
go.
is.
$24.99. Buy your frisbee. Buy your frisbee now, everybody.
There you go. I want one. I'm gonna call Dave. Dave, give me a frisbee.
He has to send you comps. He should be sending you comps. I mean, it's
a lot of the independent companies don't send comps. You don't get for all the companies that I've worked for, only two have given me comps without asking or pleading. And that was with Coffin Comics, gave comps out, really good comps, artist approved comps, and digital webbing for Blood Rain. I got a ton of Blood Rain comics that he gave me comps for, but like Avatar, it was like pulling teeth to get comps. Boom didn't give out comps. You had to ask. Zenescope actually has to fill a form out so that you request what you want. They don't just arbitrarily send out comps. So.
But yeah, that frisbee looks awesome, and I love it. And I actually need to get my hands on that swimsuit at some point. I don't even know if it's out yet. If it's out yet, but it's coming. I think they're probably gonna release it most likely around July, most likely.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because now the last one that we just previewed and showed is the one where I did Chris, is that her name? They're all in the bar wearing side sashes and shit.
And so there's two more I want to talk about, and it's not that one, but I know the one you're talking about, and I love that one. But I think it's this one is awesome, which is Unbound, and this thing
that's Headwind color that one.
And this thing just is cyberpunk all over. That's what it's screaming, and it's awesome in so many ways. And what I like about this cover is that it's a little bit different than the others, and that's the thing that I like about your work is that you do everything, and that this is different from the swimsuit, and that there's not a MD cover that is the same as the one before it. And I think it's really cool when artists do that and do different covers in that regard. So
I was fortunate with this one because they actually asked me to design her costume. So they gave me rough outline of what they wanted. They were adamant about the thing on her face, and then they wanted like a cyberpunk steampunk type futuristic jacket on her with a mechanical arm, and then the pistol. So the whole set, I got the design, which was a lot of fun. So I didn't want to make it too detailed or difficult to have to reproduce for other people, but it was fun to design this one, and to design the barbarian girl. The one holding. There's one I did with. She's holding an axe. Those two covers, I got to design the character's clothing. So.
And I love Unbound. I think Unbound is fantastic, and everything that they've done with it. And this cover is just so fitting for 2020 and 2021 with Cyberpunk 2077 coming out, and that came out, and it just fits so perfectly. And the colors also just bring it out so much to life as well. And I think it just sort of tells everything that Unbound is. And then the final cover that Zenescope was speaking about last week is this one. And this is Hercules and versus the Scorpion Queen. And obviously this is the cover that everybody was talking about. Everybody was putting in the comments because they were selling it during their retail hour. And everybody was like cover C before they even saw it. So obviously you're the cover C guy. And this is that type of cover C. Zenescope's cover Cs are very much sort of pinup style, much sexier, very much hot girl, hot woman standing there doing something very sexy. And obviously there's a lot of shit going on in this cover.
This did really well.
Apparently everybody was going for it, and everybody wanted it more so than cover A and B.
Really? See, I don't that stuff. I don't see any figure sales or, you know, you never want to know, you know. I mean, you want to know as a cover artist how well your stuff sells. You don't know if the publishers want you to know, because then all of a sudden it's like, I think my cover might be worth a little more money, so maybe my rate should go up. and they never want to hear that. But I'm glad to hear that it did well. Thank you to everyone out there that ordered it. It's awesome.
So, and obviously, I don't know how well you know Zenescope, but they are surprised, and a bunch of us are surprised that you haven't done an exclusive yet for Zenescope, because with this type of art and all the covers that I just showed, and not to ring Dave's arm or Ralph's arm here, but obviously we're all waiting for you to have your first exclusive at Zenescope in a convention. I mean, because some of these covers, and in particular this cover, I think really should have been an exclusive. In the way that it's presented, I mean, I would have happily paid $25 for it.
See, I didn't even know that that's something that I didn't know an exclusive that. I think recently, isn't Ronnie Garney, is that, or Garvey is a lot of those exclusives for them now, right now.
Keith Garvey is doing a lot of exclusives. I was his first interview, so I'm in the club here.
In the club.
And then obviously I sort of just lied, saying there's one more cover that I have to mention, because I used it as the event photo, and this is that Van Helsing, and this cover is just also really cool. And I love, Hellchild and everything that Hellchild does, and Angela, I think Blackstone, I think is her name. And I love the background on this more so than anything else, because it's, again, very much like that layering.
It gave me sitting here in the damn dark. They gave two or three different references of a side of like a castle. So they went like the flag that's hanging from the second deck there is actually, I went online and that's Dracula's insignia on that flag that I put on there.
I think it's a nice touch. Obviously, I love the background more than anything else, in which that I think that you nailed the background. And I think that's the thing, because it is so inviting. It is so detailed. Like, you could see the steps in, the upper corner of it, and it's so nice. And because you didn't have to do that in many ways. And that's what I love about it, is that didn't need to be in this. You could have taken,
because they ask me if I'm available, and I tell them yeah, and then they say we want to do a pinup style, and the character, and then they'll give me reference of the character, and then sometimes they want a specific setting. This one they wanted a specific setting. So I got, like I said, two or three really good reference photos of an interior. And this happened to half of them, and just trying to where she fits in was the hardest part is and so they're real good about that. And then some of them they don't really require much of a background. So
I love this cover, and I think this cover just screams it all and says it all, because it obviously hits a mark. And I love the detail, and I love when actually an artist puts effort into something and goes the extra mile, because this does make a difference. It also sets the tone, and obviously I'm a Zenescope reader. I'm not just a cover collector. I read a lot of this stuff digitally, so I know what's going on in Van Helsing versus the League of Monsters. And so it's kind of nice when we have a cover that sort of has something to do with the book, because it brings it to life. And I think it's very, very important for that. And I think Zenescope does a great job and with doing that a lot of the time, and also giving people really cool art. I mean, I found you because of Zenescope, and obviously it's very, very cool when I get to experience all these people's art for very, very cheap money. in a lot of ways. I mean, a Zenescope comic for a cover A through D is $4 to $6 on average, which is not a lot of money. And there's so many different people who do art, and there's so many talented people who do art, including yourself. And obviously, I just think it's fascinating and awesome that like I get to see all this. And so it's very cool, and I just love it. And I also love the fact that it's such different styles as well. Because, you know, you get a Keith Garvey, as we mentioned, but then I get you, and then I get a Sun Kunaki, and then you get an Ebass. All four of the people that I just mentioned, for those who are unaware of any of them, obviously it'd be really awkward if you're watching this, you're unaware of Michael, who's sitting right in front of us. Very weird, but the idea is that there's just so much diversity in that company, and even within your art, in Zenescope, let alone anything else.
Yeah, and you do feel a bit of competition when other guys' work. But you know, you always want to up your game. That was one of the things like across. There was so many demented covers with. You always felt like you needed to outgross the guy before you, you know. So, but with Zenescope, it's like, you know, I just have to make her pretty, make her prettier than Ebass did. You know? So it's a good change.
And then even going about Zenescope, because Zenescope has been a growing company, and I think you've been involved in Zenescope for at least close to 10 years, or is it a little bit less than that?
I've only been with Zenescope three.
Wow, I am off base by far. It feels like 10.
Okay.
It feels like 10. I'm not gonna lie. So obviously, though, one of the things about Zenescope is that they have been growing exponentially in a lot of ways. I mean, they started out in 2005, and they've sold over, I think, like 20 million comic books in that time period, which is a lot if you think about it. And they've been around for 16 years. And so they are very much a growing company. I've noticed their growth in the last 8 years. And so obviously, and I think in the last 5, they've gone very much into a transformative company. And so what is that like? Because their audience has gotten a lot bigger, and that obviously affects you as an artist because you're introduced to more people, and more people discover who you are. And so it's a very cool thing when a company is growing and you're producing covers for them, and that you're creating covers and that the fan base is actually liking it. And they keep bringing you back, which means only one thing, that your work is likable and that people enjoy it.
It makes you feel good. Like I said, I don't know a lot how my stuff sells. What I do recognize the most, though, that you know that they're really growing, is the fact that there's new characters always coming out. When I first discovered Zenescope, they were just kind of Alice in Wonderland, maybe Little Red Riding Hood, some of the grim fairy tales stuff, just a few of those characters, and that included a little bit. But now you've got so many more. You know, I mean, just since I didn't know about Van Helsing. I didn't know about Robin Hood. I didn't know the Queen is new. I did a steampunk witch for another one that's a new character. There's so many characters along with, you know, Belle that Dave writes, and that's how I know that they're growing and they're expanding, but they're sustaining, because sometimes you grow too fast, and then you get so spread out and you get so thin, and then your books are late and your art suffers, and then the stories go downhill, and the next thing you're in trouble, you're canceling books, and you know but they're sustaining. And that's, you know, once a month, maybe twice a month, I get an email from Dave. You ready for a cover? And that's, you know, that's the schedule that I'm on with them. 1 to 2 a month, 1 for sure. And so I like it. I like it.
And I love your work, and I love seeing it. I love cover C. And obviously, I'm excited for what happens. We got a frisbee coming out. It's already out, $29.99. Everybody, it could be yours for $29.99. Go throw the disc around. Go get some sunlight. I heard sunlight's good. Exercise is this new concept that's good for you.
Don't throw that frisbee around. I don't want that girl scratched off on the concrete.
So I know that just came out. So for those who want that, go buy it. It's super cool, and I'm sure that cover's going to come out sooner rather than later, and it's super fun.
2 years ago, I had some sketch covers for them that they for the conventions. I think I did like 10, and they were all Christmas themed. Just contacting me. I'm actually waiting for another. I'm going to 20 covers, sketch covers of for Halloween. Oh, I don't know if those are going to be the convention exclusives or what, but I'm doing the numbers for the upcoming convention season.
So I don't want to get you or me in trouble because they still like me, and I want you to still be liked too. So we're gonna about it before we get in trouble on that.
So don't say that. Edit that out, right?
So I don't want to ruin any more of what's coming down the pipe, but I know you got at least 6 more covers this year with Zenescope, if not 12, possibly. Obviously, you have a cover that covers.
How do you know this and I don't?
I'm just assuming. I mean, you said you're getting one a month, so you're getting at least 6, and it's June, so technically.
Okay, I see. You're doing quick math. I got it.
I basically failed math, but this is as far as I go. So if you ask me to add some more numbers, it's not going to look pretty. But I do want to talk about a different book now and move out of Zenescope as much as I like it. And I do want to talk about Uber because Kane and White was on, and Kane and White did a bunch of Uber stuff. Kieran is a fucking genius, and he writes Uber. And one of the things about Uber is the propaganda covers, and you did a bunch of that. And that shit is brilliant. And it's so good. It's so iconic. It's perfect because this is what it would look like in the world of Uber. And I'm just going to show them. And obviously, we have that right there. And if you don't know Uber and you don't understand what's going on with it, obviously the basic premise is that the Nazis are at the brink of defeat and they create a super weapon and now the war is back on, give or take. And so there's a lot of propaganda going on. And that's just one of the covers, obviously. It's Rosie, the rivet, a derivative of that. I'm taking the risk on that one. There's this cover that you did. This one is really cool too. And this one's sort of, I guess, seems very much in reference to a religious symbol / religion tattoo that is put onto a lot of people. And then there's this one also that's awesome. And then there's one more as well, and it's this one. And obviously all of them are phenomenal. And this one's my favorite out of the bunch. So what was that like? Because these things are just so iconic. I think you did like 26 to 28 of that, around that number.
Fit over 50.
You did over 50. I am being conservative on my numbers.
Yeah. Approached me about doing the covers. Avatar was really shitty about getting you background or good reference with their projects. So first couple of covers you do, you kind of flounder a bit, trying to find your footing. What the hell's going on. But luckily, by the second cover, I had figured it out. Taking place in World War II, they wanted the propaganda covers, and I basically got free reign to do whatever the hell I wanted on them. The only stipulation was that they couldn't have any slogans or any writing or What?
Your battery's gonna die.
It says it's 66%.
Okay.
So it's okay. As long as I didn't write any bullshit on it, you know, any propaganda stuff. Pretty much got free reign. I got the Uber logo that's on propaganda covers. They let me design, and then with the gritty look and the different characters because they were the three Nazi characters, a male and a female. So a lot of them focused around them and their powers and the things they were doing, and I always tried to keep in mind and keep it fresh without being too gory about Uncle Sam poster, like a recruiting poster, but more in the. Do you remember watching Starship Troopers?
Yeah, I remember.
During Starship Troopers, they would have like the propaganda bullshit that they would for like TV commercial stuff. I tried to use some of that for inspiration and things, and so I did quite a lot of them like that. And then the best opportunity was shifted because then they wanted them from the perspective of because the English were the next ones to get soldiers. It's that HMS Colossus, and then it's actually an arc in the book where he fights the female.
Well, I remember that.
Battleship.
I remember
you remember that? Did you see that?
He gets his ass whooped.
He gets and and then the final I did were from the perspective. So I did a Rosie the River. There's a guy with a flamethrower who's burning the Nazi flag. And then we did one of a bomber he had the mask and everything on, and then one with MacArthur. and we gave him that Uber glow, like MacArthur had the Uber power with the pipe and stuff. So a lot of fun. I got to play around. I had a lot of freedom, a whole lot of freedom with those. But man, after 50, I'm burned out. I didn't want to look at it anymore.
I understand. Uber is not for everyone, and even after like 18 issues of Uber, you got to put it down for a little bit of time because it is an intense series. A lot of stuff goes on in Uber, and I mean it's a brilliant series in so many ways. But and as I say, Kieran is a fucking genius in the way.
I didn't read much of them though, you know. Some with the Crossed were the same way. Crossed were it's so many that the imagery and the concept behind it after a while becomes kind of soul sucking, and you just need to step away from it. And it's one of the things really good with Avatar is I could go to William and go, you know what, I got to step away from these covers, and he'd be like, it's getting to you a little bit, is it? I'm like, yeah. And then he would give me a few months where I didn't do any cross covers, and then I'd hit it again. The Uber was just like, oh, no, I need these because Uber sold so well, and it had a worldwide following. It caused a stir though. It pissed a lot of people off because of the Nazis. I know that we weren't allowed to use a swastika. Everything had to be an iron cross. If you look on other shoulders or any of that, I couldn't put a swastika on anything because the book wouldn't have got sold in Europe if they did that. So, but I know I would look at some of the message boards about it and be pissed because it was Nazis because the pro Nazi book without reason. It was a knee jerk, internet bad. Everyone run, club it, run to something else.
It's not everybody's cup of tea, but I do want to take a reason. Me and Kanan White spoke about that book extensively for like 45 minutes live.
Yeah.
Great interview with Kanan. If anybody wants to check it out, it's on the Facebook page. It's on YouTube as well. I'm surprised it didn't get flagged. I'm pretty surprised. But obviously, I do want to touch upon Lady Death before I let you go. So, Lady Death, obviously, big series.
Can Eagles barking?
What?
Can you hear my beagles barking?
Yeah. I have a King Charles Cavalier princess dog, so she owns.
My wife loves those dogs.
She's a cute one. But obviously Lady Death, and I want to deal with it quickly. So how'd you get involved with Lady Death? And I'm just going to start showing some of these covers because they are.
Lady Death was a character that I liked as a kid. Well, not as a kid. when I was younger, when she first came out, I saw her. She's simple. It's clean. It's an elegant design. She's easy to draw. She's powerful. You know.
I mean, I love this.
I mean, everything in mind that makes it really marketable and exciting to draw, because her costume, and she's so plain, you can do so many things with her. I had drawn a Lady Death on my own before I even broke in, and it was a medieval Lady Death. Actually met Brian here in Michigan, and he signed for me. And at the time, he told me that they weren't doing medieval Lady Death, and sorry, and you know, it's good work, but oh well, we're not. It's just can't use you. And I was like, okay. And then it was out of my mind for a few years. And then Avatar Press has what's called Boundless imprint. It's just another branch of Avatar. But started doing the Lady Death covers, the books with Brian. Brian was writing, and he was writing them with a cat called Mike. They were writing, plotting and scripting. I can't remember who Marcelo Mueller was actually doing the interiors, and I wanted to do the Lady Death cover out that they got them, and they didn't want me to do them. They told me no. I had to beg to do Lady Death cover. It's like, please do one. I'll just let me. And so they were like, all right, fine, and I did one. And then after I did the first one, I never looked back. I did every single that they did. I did wraparounds, I did regular covers. I did the A's, the B's. I did Art Decos. I did Nouveaux. I did every style of stuff. I did the origins, and I did drew Lady Death. And then after I put that with our press. Brian approached me at a convention, and he's like, "If you ever leave Avatar, call me." And so I called him, and he signed me to I think it was an 18 cover contract for Coffin Comics, and so for Brian for covers, and then we put them out. But yeah, she's a stellar character, huge following, passionate fans. They love it. They call themselves, and yeah. I mean, I still love to draw her now.
I mean, Lady Death is killing it right now, and obviously, Kickstarter is, I think, it's home in a lot of ways. And so, obviously, I do want to talk about that because Kickstarter is fascinating in so many ways, and even crowdfunding comics and covers. And I know you've done some Kickstarter stuff with Lady Death. But where do you even think indie comics are going? Because obviously that's something that, and I consider Zenescope to be sort of a hybrid in many ways. I consider Coffin Comics to be a hybrid. And obviously, you've done a lot of indie comic work, or maybe not a lot of it, but enough of it that you have an idea of certain covers that are coming out. So how do you feel about these?
For what?
indie comics and crowdfunding because it's a very cool market right now.
It really is. You know, I don't want to overstep. Everybody wants to be a comic publisher. Everybody wants to be a comic. Everybody wants to be a comic. Okay. The thing that they don't understand is it's a business.
Oh yeah.
It's an art form second. It's a business first. Okay. If you want to publish, publishing's a business. If you want a Kickstarter, that's a form of publishing. That's a business. You need to you need to have a product that's unique, that fits a market, put out on time with good art and good stories. And if you can do that and you can promote yourself, you're gonna succeed. But you have so many guys that they bite off more than they can chew. They don't have business aspect of fulfilling order of marketing, of any kind of promotions. And it suffers. And you know, they're all the wayside. I think that the more that you use big name publishing to crowdfunding starter, and especially with the distribution wars that are happening now, Diamond being cut out, Marvel wanting to do their own mission, and now the word is about what they do with their comics. There's going to be a lot more ways to get in the hands of people, and so you may see a boom where you're going to see hurt is maybe your local shops are gonna take a shot because without that direct marketing from Diamond or that dish like that, how do you put stuff in your stores? You know, when you can just order it online or you can give to our Kickstarter, it's difficult for those stores. I think it's a changing landscape right now that I don't think anybody can pin down what's going to happen or predict. But I know that Kickstarter is not going, and guys that have a good business sense that understand what product is, they're going to rise at the top. And that's you know.
I know all about it because I'm starting to make shifts, and I have an eBay store. I buy and sell comics, and I'm not a shop. But I'm now getting into the wholesale side of indie comics because I am fully aware of where the landscape is going. And I want to be one of the survivors, not one of the dead people and the dead fishes floating in the river. And so I'm fully aware of all of it. And the people who can promote themselves, you know, really well and can figure out how to do it, you know, they're going to survive amazingly. And that kind of leads me to my next point. I'm curious. Where do you think cons are going? Because obviously cons are coming back now.
Are they?
It's going to be very interesting what happens with that.
Well, there's going to be cons, but to what extent? I mean, and not COVID stuff, you know, safety, all that protocol aside, just conventions, you know. Couldn't eat themselves. I was in Arizona years ago at the Phoenix convention, and I watched. I can't remember his name. He's editor in chief at a Top Cow. At his booth for Top Cow, and that guy couldn't give a comic away for free because they didn't want to read it. They had their shirts.
Are you talking about Matt Hawkins?
They had their cosplay, and he's literally is like, it's free. It's a free comic, and no one would take it.
Do you know the story about this? He told this story. I think you're talking about Matt Hawkins.
Yeah.
He
Matt,
told this story on my podcast. That exact story where somebody was standing in front of his booth with gigantic wings, and he couldn't give away his comic for free. And then when he put $1, it started selling in front of it. which is ludicrous. It's ludicrous. You couldn't give Think Tank away for free. It's crazy. It's a crazy story.
They're less about comics, and they're more about culture. It's not, artists are an afterthought, and it's all about who's signing, what celebrity is going to be there, what favorite CW actor or actress is going to, who's the next person from The Walking Dead. I mean, it's insane. And Allie, you know, I've had guys walk by my booth with a flip. That's good stuff. And then they just walk away. And that's it. I've had guys walk by point half. It's some of the more suggestive covers, you know. Nipples, and they walk away. I've had Cosmo put their bags down on my table, and then for the next 20 minutes take pictures. And it's just all about what bring who I am, what I am. You know, your average kid today wearing a Captain America shield has probably never even picked up a Captain America book. You know, never even read a comic, doesn't know who Ernie is. You know, it's tough, and you know, they're more about entertainment side like that than they are about the art. And
what's crazy is that something like this might have more impact than you being at a con right now, just because I market it extensively, I push it out extensively, I get it in front of the right fan base, where I'm getting this right in front of a bunch of Zenescope fans who want to hear all about who you are because they like your work. And if you're at a con, that sometimes can't happen. And it's nothing against people at a con, but you know, I know how to get these interviews in front of the right people, and they're way more influential. And so I don't know where the con world is going, but I do know that things have to change. And if you're into comics and you're into indie comics, you're almost better off paying for Facebook ads directed at your audience directly for your Kickstarter.
On old Carnival, in the sense that I have people ask me is, when am I coming to this con, or when am I coming to that con, or when am I going to visit you know, this state or that state, and I'm not. I mean, you know, I'm going to be 56. I am not going to do 20 cons. I'll be lucky if I do the Motor City one that's 20 minutes from my house. Yeah, you know, and it's just not.
I mean, I'll tell you how I feel. So I only do cons within a 25-mile to 50-mile radius of where I live. And I used to live in DC. It was perfect. There was like 3 cons: an anime con, a Comic Con, and there was a con in Virginia 12 miles out. And I would stay in a hotel. It was my vacation for the year. And I had a great time. And I'm not a comic guy. I was just going for my enjoyment. And I was doing maybe a panel. I got a free ticket. It was cool. I enjoyed myself. But I'm not interested in traveling 300 miles away. Makes no sense to me, because it's just that there's no money in it for me at this time, and I could be way more influential on the internet.
You know, I've never really made a lot of money. I never do. I make table money, table and hotel money. Right, when it's all said and done, you break even, and you know, and they're tough. You know, you're trying to find, you're trying to find a restaurant to eat. You don't know when you're going to eat. You don't want to stay up till 4 a.m. I used to, the first cons that I would go to, I would watch these guys, and they spend all day at the convention, and they'd run back to the hotel. They'd sit in the lobbies drawing, doing like commissions till like midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, because you know, people, they want, and it's like, is that what you want to do instead of meet and greet and talk? You know, I mean, I'll talk to anybody. You can message me You know, commission list is in commission me. You can buy any of my work. Everything I put on Facebook is for sale. I do not charge for signatures. You know, if you got stuff that you want signed, pay the post, and I'll sign it, and send it back to you. But it's I don't know. The con thing is it's another one of those flux. You can see where it goes. Never know.
It's so tricky, and I don't even know where I stand on it. I'm still trying to figure out, and I'm a panel, so I'm on a completely different side of this, where it is.
The conventions themselves don't help themselves, because I got into a rift at the MotorCon because you sign your contract, and they say you pay X amount for a table, a badge, and 2 chairs. Okay. I'm the artist. I get a visitor badge, 2 chairs. So you bring someone on your table, and then you get there, and then they want you to buy a 3-day pass for your helper. And it's like, wait a minute, what's the visitor pass? Oh, you're the visitor. Well, I'm the visitor. Then fucking give me 2 chairs. If it's just for me. And now you expect me to spend like another $85 on top of the table fee, so that I can have someone help me at my table. They're like yeah, and they've all gone to. They just keep squeezing the talent for more and more money, to the point where maybe they don't want to go. Maybe they'll only go if the con invites them, and the con provides a hotel room and provides a take. Maybe that's the way it goes. Who knows?
It's so complicated. It's so complicated. I'm sure we could talk about it all night, but I do want to give you an opportunity to promote yourself. Obviously, you mentioned some stuff already. Where can people find you on Facebook? Obviously, where can people pick up your art? How can people get on your commission list? How can people, what's coming out? I know a lot of stuff's on Zenescope. I'm sure if you just Google your name.
It's literally Facebook. Just Facebook me. Message me. Go right on my wall. Anything. You can ask me anything.
And so obviously it's that simple, guys, is that you should like the Facebook page. It is super important to like Facebook pages. And I've been saying this all along. You have to support indie. And what that means is that if somebody has a commission list, or buy, their work from Zenescope, buy Michael's cover, it makes a difference. Buy his Lady Death cover. If he's doing, Kickstarter, back that cover, pick that cover up. Obviously Zenescope stuff, pick it up. Put it on your Instagram and actually tag him in your Instagram post. It makes a difference. Put it on your Facebook, and guess what? It's not costing you any money to tag somebody if you already bought the book. Or even following you on Instagram, following you on Facebook, it's not costing any money. And it'll appear in your feed, and then all of a sudden you might be very interested. Oh man, I really like that piece that you did of Vampirella, because I know you have a cool Vampirella piece up there. I would like to purchase that. And all of a sudden, if you message, or let's say somebody say, hey, I really like Batman. You'll draw Batman.
Sure. I got prints of Batman.
And so there you go. It is super important at this stage to buy people's books that they're producing, buy their commissions, or if you're in a situation where COVID has wrecked you, and I completely understand that, following people, it makes such a difference. And it is even commenting, saying, I'm sure somebody shot you a message, say, hey, I love what you did with this cover, and this cover is my favorite Zenescope cover, and then they share it, or they share that cover outward. It makes such a difference. And both when people tell me, oh man, you did a great interview, not even throwing me money, it makes me say, okay, I'm glad somebody actually appreciated what I did. So that's something to throw out there, because it is important to
So you're going to get your coffee then, right?
What?
You're going to get your right?
Something like that, hopefully.
That's what you said. If someone wants to buy you a cup of coffee, are you going to get that cup of coffee now?
I don't know. I have a link up there, and I'm going to need it in like an hour, because after everything that's happened today, I'm going to need it. there's a link. Buy me a coffee, guys. You know, everybody knows what that is. so I'm broke and I need it. So please go do that for me as well. Share the interview around and obviously support Indy. So on that note, I'm going to give you the final word.
Likes and shares. Everyone that buys anything from me. I appreciate anyone that buys anything that I've done. I appreciate anyone that just appreciates what I do. I know that all the people that are out there, they're the ones that make it so that I can do what I want, you know, and create stuff, you know. I feel so lucky to be able to have people that appreciate, and so I do, and it means the world. And thank you. Look me up, message me, leave something on my wall. Always give a share. You know, shares are free. That's what I always say.
And I couldn't have said it any better myself. And so on that note, that is a wrap.